Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to check out the 2020 retrospective letter from the studio's director, Matt Firor. Before we start, if you want, you can join our community Discord server, link in the description below. I always post when there's official news, when there is like news on eso-hub or alcasthq. You can also use the Dwemer automaton bot comments in here and a lot more information just overall, so you can join if you want, as well as eso-hub.com. This is a new website. It has been up for like 3 months. It's still in beta. This is basically a combination of eso set, skillbook and housing. Now we haven't merged the sites yet, so redirected to the eso-hub because not all features are present yet. Once all features are present, we will start redirecting the old sites to eso-hub, and eso-hub will become the main website in combination with alcasthq. The builds, the endgame stuff will always be on alcasthq, whereas eso-hub is more like information hub where you can check out all the arena sets and so on. And we will add a lot more things like antiquities, housing, and everything. From next year on, we will also have more resources to work with, so new features should be added faster. Just as a heads up. So, let's take a look at the letter. I hope it's big enough so you can see it zoomed a little bit in. I haven't read this yet, so it's kind of like a first reaction as well for me. Greetings as a community. And by the way, let's read through it, and afterwards I will actually tell you what I think about it. It's probably a lot of PR talk. Well, we have done it. We have made it almost, as I typed this, don't want to jinx it, to the end of 2020. All of us at Scrolls Online Studios have been working from home since March, a huge change for us. We have managed to ride out the year mostly safely, and have overcome the difficulties posed by the entire team working remotely. We are very fortunate and thankful to have been able to make the transition to working from home and emerge at the end of 2020 with our jobs and health intact. I was actually surprised how well they managed to do this, like from office to home, how they changed it. It was nice. This was a year of contrast for the Elder Scrolls Online. The number of players joining the game, playing more often and playing longer, increased to a point we have seen only once before 2015. Just after console launch, our year-long story arc with its focus on Western Skyrim and vampires certainly helped, but so did a combination of other factors, including the excitement generated by our first ever live announcement show in Las Vegas last January, a tease of what was coming last December at the Game Awards, and of course the pandemic. However, we also experienced game instability for far too many bugs and very rough update launches. I didn't think you would mention that, but that's actually nice. We can't talk about ESO and 2020 without talking about the pandemic. Having much of the world shut down led to a huge change in player behavior in the game. Far longer play sessions and far more people playing. The hamsters are sweating. We are very much aware that ESO is an escape for many of you, even in the best of times, but during the many months where the outside world went awry, ESO became a refuge, a place to escape the reality of our not so awesome situations for at least a few hours at a time. Engagement in our housing system spiked as many of you virtually nested, so it wasn't just about the number of you playing. It was how you changed and adapted during the pandemic. We are very humbled by the amazing outpouring of thanks from the community for helping you through a very trying time, and we will endeavor to continue being your safe port in the store. I apologize. English isn't my first language, so I butcher a lot of words. Things were not always so rosy for the ESO dev team though. We kept our aggressive development schedule that in hindsight might not have been the right strategy. Interesting. And I'm just gonna keep going. A combination of the normal ESO content cycle, investigating, fixing long-standing issues, optimization to improve performance on lower power devices. Also fewer blue screen errors and the lack of team, both dev and QA cohesion brought on by work from home led to a poor experience in many cases for you. The short version is that we kept up our usual frenetic pace but didn't allow for the realities of working remotely. Each of our 4 updates launches were marred by errors and probably of various types. Patches to fix those issues sometimes led to more problems. Obviously, this is unacceptable and we will be addressing this as a team throughout 2021. Interesting. There's a lot of like small nuggets that don't sound very impressive but are very important. But let's keep going. You already know that the 2021 story arc is called Gates of... my coffee machine, okay? Gates of Oblivion. And I will leave it up to our reveal show next month to go into specifics, but I want to highlight that in 2021 we will devote more time overall to stability and game performance and less time to new game systems with our standard content updates continuing unchanged. Okay? We will still be working from home for the foreseeable future, and I want to ensure that our 2021 updates and patches are smooth and the player experience is enjoyable. This is an ongoing process, and remember that we are usually working on updates 6 months or more before they launch. So when we started WFH in March, whatever, we were already working on Q3 and Q4 content, which led which led to the issues outlined above. We now have planned for the team working remotely for roughly the first half of 2021, so the introduce fewer new systems program will be continued throughout there. That's very optimistic. I want to give a special shout out to everyone at Scrolls Online. All of you in the community should know how awesome the ESO team is. It was a very, very difficult year for us, and the team made it through with a combination of humor, sometimes very dark, hard work, and perseverance. We could never have held together as a team during this year without the many years of teamwork behind us and the respect that we have for one another. Even though we were stressed sometimes to the breaking point, we made it through because it is what we do. And of course, in closing, please know that everything we do on ESO is for you, the community. Even if we occasionally fall short, we are working diligently to provide you with the fantasy virtual world that you love. Your passion for the game is truly amazing and keeps us going through the dark times. Thank you all. Have a safe and peaceful holiday. See you in 2021. So, I was surprised he didn't mention the Microsoft stuff yet, but let's start here. So my impression, first off, maybe let's start with my impression of how 2020 went. Up to the chapter announcement, like, there was also partially because of the pandemic, most likely, there was a lot of new players. Like, when I look at my website metrics, which I'm mostly focused on, it's pretty much the only thing I care about. Things skyrocketed like crazy, right? And after the chapter, it started slowing down. But when we look at it, there's still more people playing compared to last year at this time of the year. So overall, when you look on year-to-year growth, the game is growing, and he also outlined this. Not only is it growing, but people also played more and used, especially with like housing editors and so on. Of course, I do think the game could grow even faster if the performance issues weren't here. By performance issues, I mostly mean the things like server issues, like disconnects, desyncs, and all these things that have been caused. When there is a lot of people playing, the servers just break and they have to do maintenance, extended maintenances. Like, sometimes the servers are down for like 12 hours or more. And I don't think that's acceptable, but they obviously also know that. I think it's just the game engine and the servers just can't withstand the amount of players, right? Like, when we look at other games like World of Warcraft, they have been around for a long time. They have they have their own game engine. Elder Scrolls Online has also their own engine. It's based off on like the hero engine. They obviously adjusted it, but you still see that it brings problems along. And every time there is like a buttload of people playing, the servers just shit the bed, literally. And I really hope with the acquisition of Microsoft, like Microsoft acquired everything from ZeniMax Media. ZeniMax Media is like what do you call it, the parent company. So ZeniMax Online Studios is also part of Microsoft now. They're still finishing the deal, and it will probably be another 2 years till we see a change, if at all. But I do hope that they can actually bring some sort of expertise to Elder Scrolls Online to make the servers more stable. But like I mentioned, 2-3 years. Right? The game is not going anywhere for the like. I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably gonna retire on this game if it runs another 15-20 years. Man, that would be very early, but still. MMOs last for a long time, and this just keeps growing, like it's not even declining yet. So, that's kind of my thing. So, I wish the servers would work better. The game per se is very good, right? Especially PvE. PvP obviously also has a lot of issues with servers. But the thing is, most new players are very PvE focused, and that's probably also why they just don't really focus that much on PvP stuff. I might be wrong. Battlegrounds are fun, but I also feel it. I would like to go play in Cyrodiil, but I'm just not gonna do that with the performance. Anyway, let's see what he said, or let's check out what he said. So I was very surprised about like working remotely because of the Mr. Rona. They obviously had to go from office work to home office, which is a huge change. I actually expected them to delay one of the DLCs, and they pretty much stick to the release schedule, which kind of surprised me. But it also showed they pushed out the new content, but it kind of suffered because bugs and so on couldn't get fixed in time. Especially noticeable with the was it this? Yeah, I think Q4 DLC. Like, so much things have been reported on the public test servers, and it just didn't get fixed. Like, I'm not sure what happened. It just didn't get fixed. I hope they can actually see what went wrong there. Maybe actually they knew the bugs, but they didn't have time and just pushed it out. I'm not sure. Anyway, so this is also very interesting. The number of players joining the game, playing more often and playing longer, increased to a point we have seen only once before. So that's like, it has never grown this fast, right? And like I mentioned before, when I look at website metrics, it's crazy how much new people actually joined, like search for things on Google or like were on the website. So I definitely do agree with that statement. Just after console launch, yeah, okay. Our year-long story arc with its focus on Western Skyrim. So I guess Western Skyrim, Greymore also kind of helped to bait people in, which is a lot of people hate that stuff, but I think it's 200 IQ marketing strategy. Like, people want things they're familiar with. So next year will be Oblivion. A lot of people know the game already, so it's going to be another amazing year, and it wouldn't surprise me if the game grows even more. Yeah, and I was in Las Vegas. The event was great. I don't even want to know how much money they dumped into that event. Like, it was bad shit crazy how much people were working on that show. Like, I was like, oh, crazy. The tease of what was coming last December at the Game Awards. So they also teased the game at the Game Awards, which had a buttload of people watching. Again, smart marketing move. And of course, the pandemic, which more people stayed at home, they're bored, they want to play games. However, we also experienced game instability, far too many bugs, and very rough updates. So I'm actually kind of proud that he mentioned this. Like, he actually acknowledges that there is issues. And people always say ZeniMax doesn't care, they just want to milk it as hard as possible. I don't think that's entirely true. Now, of course, they have to make money. And we might see with Microsoft. Microsoft tries to build this ecosystem with the Xbox Game Pass. They might go away from like crates and stuff because they want a more like player-friendly environment. But like I mentioned before, it might take another 3 years till we actually see an impact, if any at all. It might be that Microsoft says, okay, just keep working on it, nothing changes. Or they might be, hey, we see a huge opportunity here to actually get more people on board. Let's improve the servers, let's give you more money. Like, Microsoft is sitting on a pile of money you don't even you can't imagine how much. And with the money printing going on, helicopter money, they want to get rid of it. So they might rather invest it in resources, right? So we'll see. I'm really interested in seeing how that will turn out in the next 2 to 4 years. So yeah, they're aware of the bugs, but they also don't have the manpower for it. They are there's a lot of job positions open, but it's just not easy to find people in the gaming industry, capable people. It's probably easy to find people, but it's not easy to find people that know what they're doing. That's probably a problem in every category of work, I guess. We can't talk about ESO without talking about the pandemic, having much of blah blah blah. Yeah. So wait, where was this? Here, engagement in our housing system spiked. I do think ESO has a very powerful housing system, and they kind of know that because they keep adding new content to it every update. And it's just crazy what people have built. Like, I have seen houses which is just there's some weird stuff going on, but it's just cool. As many of you virtually necessary. It wasn't just about the number of you playing, it was how you changed and adapted during the pandemic. So that's also another interesting thing. Like, they actually saw a behavioral change. I think I'm not sure, did they... Yeah, I think they also said people played longer because they're stuck home, which is good. So anything that keeps the people playing, and the housing system, it's always good to have, obviously ZeniMax created the housing system, but content of the housing system is created by the players, right? Whereas running dungeons might get boring at some point because you do the same thing over and over again. You can always go check out other houses, build new houses, and so on. Never gets boring. So let's see. Next up, the development schedule. I guess they got kind of burned out because they had to make the shift from office to home. And people also get, let's say, depressed a little bit for just working and staying at home. I always work from home, I'm used to it. But if somebody that goes out every day to work somewhere, and then all of a sudden he has to stay home, the kid is here, the whole family is there, it can be a crazy change. And some people are just better to it than others. And some people just lose it. Anyway, 2020 was kind of called the year of performance. And to be honest, FPS wise, the game improved a lot. I have triple the amount of FPS, especially in instance zones. So they actually improved things there. But server side, server maintenance takes too long, the servers break down when there's too many people. Sometimes the group finder doesn't, it just doesn't work, even though they completely rewrote it. Bugs, disconnects, 2 months we couldn't properly raid or do dungeons because we constantly disconnected. Things like that. That should not happen. It is good that they are aware of it, but it just looks like they're trying to figure it out, but if they don't know how to fix it, they can't push out the fix, right? So it just takes longer and they don't have enough manpower on it. They also implemented a lot of good quality of life updates, like the sticker book. A lot of people are like going crazy for that thing. People that before hated farming sets are loving it now just because they want to fill that sticker book. Kind of like these things. It's amazing. Then you also can recreate the items. They increase the transmute cap, and there's a lot of other cool things. They made the writs easier for console players and so on. These are all very nice improvements. Now what they're saying here is next year they want to implement less quality of life additions, but focus more on actually fixing these server issues. We will see if they can do it. It's not easy. The game engine is old. I think, and just the servers, like the technology can't read, or the software, I'm not an engineer, so I have no clue. It just seems to not scale properly. So we will see. If they can fix that, like I can guarantee you the game will grow like twice as fast as it already does. Because whenever I actually talk to someone and ask why you're not playing anymore, there's just the performance blows. Now, you already know Gates of Oblivion. We know that's coming. We have an article on eso-hub. Link in the description, like always. It kind of talks a little bit about it. And yeah, there's images and so on. We will see more of that on the 21st January. So they want to ensure that patches are smooth next year. I do think their content push, like every 3 months, is very... So I'm sorry, is very how do you say? Like I feel like they're pushing it too hard. Like by the time the new chapter or the new DLC launches, they almost have to finish up the next DLC, PTS and things like that. I think it's just like too tight. Maybe content-wise, they can actually do it, but when we look at balancing combat, the combat dev team is just too small. They make too many dump changes, in my opinion, mostly because probably because they don't have enough time to push content. So I would like to see the combat team actually take a step back and only make changes every 6 months and not every 3 months, because a lot of people are annoyed that like, okay, I farmed my sets and it's useless, I have to restart. Then, okay, I'm almost done, my character is up to date and it's useless. Because a DLC launches, and 2 months later the PTS already shows up and pretty much tells you what will be good or not in the next DLC, right? So you only have 2 months to get up to date. And then PTS, and it's like, okay, I already know, I'm farming this set now, but I know in a month it will probably be useless. That disencourages a lot of people. Not good. And when the combat team has 6 months time, I think they could make better changes and less of them. Because I feel sometimes it's like, oh, let's also do this and this and this, and then it's just like half-assed changes. Because there has been a lot of good changes, but also just like, why? Anyway, let's move on. That's pretty much it. So overall, the year, I think, has been very good for Elder Scrolls Online. There has been a lot of new players. Like always, from the start of the year up to the chapter and like a month after the chapter, the player base just explodes. And afterwards, it slowly declines. But it seems from year to year, it seems to be that more and more people playing the game. And not only do more and more people play the game, it's also different people. Like, old players are coming back and new players are testing out the game. That's also very important. most MMOs usually have problems getting new players in, so ESO actually manages to do that pretty well. We could argue that they're monetizing the game a little bit hard with like the chapter is price as a full game. You have the subscription, you have the DLCs, which are kind of included in the subscription if you look at it, and they have the clown store. But I do hope when Microsoft actually makes some changes to the game in like 2 to 4 years, that maybe some of these practices will change. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion on this letter. I think it was very honest, because we remember last year it was just like outright, I'm not sure if it was this one, but they were just like neglecting the performance issues completely. Like, look, we had such an amazing year, and here actually they mention it. So it's a very honest letter. Very nice. I'm very bullish. I'm looking forward to the next year's chapter. I'm not sure, we might get a new class, like it would be time, because we have gotten new classes every 2 years. I doubt it though. I think they will focus on adding new content to like antiquities, housing, and so on. And maybe we might get a new skill line somehow connected to like Oblivion, maybe something with Daedra, and so on. We will see. Of course, you will always find everything on eso-hub.com and on alcasthq.com going forward. Please don't forget, I'm also live streaming, usually on the weekends, and when there is chapter hype, I will obviously stream more. I do have Instagram, then here a YouTube channel, make sure to follow me. I also do have a second YouTube channel. Our community Discord, and we do have Twitter, where I spam a lot of things to keep you up to date and so on. There's a lot of cool stuff on here. Facebook, and everything. So all the links in the description. Let me know in the comment section what you actually think about this. And I guess we will see us soon. I'm sorry that the video almost half an hour, but it just takes time to go through these things. Anyway, have a nice holiday. Bye.